to the Risk Never Sleeps podcast, in which we learn about the people that are on the front lines, protecting patient safety and delivering patient care. I'm Ed Gaudet, the host, and today is a special day. The man, the myth, the legend is back, Will Conaway. Good morning, or good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing great. Glad to be back. Part two, I guess. I kind of worry about that because I had to ask myself, was the second Rambo movie better? Was the second Rocky movie better? So I'm a little concerned today.
The second Godfather movie, though, might be.
There is truth in that. There is truth. There we go.
Star Wars 1, 2, I don't know.
Those are all good.
5, whatever it is. They're all good. They're all good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I suspect we're going to have fun today. I'm a little wired. I must admit, I think I had 2 venti Americanos, so I probably have 12 shots coursing through my vein of espresso.
Oh, jeez.
Hold on, folks. Kids, don't try this at home. All right, so let's start off with, man, lots changed since we last spoke, so bring listeners up to date.
Oh, boy, yeah. You know, last time I was working for a very large company as their VP. I am no longer there. Yeah, that happens as an executive. You know, you have to kind of laugh about it sometimes.
You do.
You know, since then, I've really been main focus on being a senior AI advisor for an organization, Ascent Business Partners. I also have my own consulting that I've been doing that's been going very well with Tuxedo Cat Consulting. Working with several other organizations, actually 6 of them right now, which is a little crazy. Working on one company that's working on hallucinations with AI, trying to figure out how we reduce those or totally eliminate them. Do a lot of cybersecurity items, just mainly as consulting for some groups. And I still, for the last 15 years, been at Cornell University. I've been working with 3 different colleges there over the years, still doing that and working with the General Casey, teaching our VUCA courses, trying those more into healthcare and even talking about those. I use that at HIMSS of recent. And been doing some odd consultant work that you might find funny and probably has a few snide remarks. I can't get into all of it, but I have been working with the Hilton Corporation, the APAC region, doing some of their organizational strategy. FBI, which I definitely can't get into, working with some of their chiefs and just what they're doing. Sodexo, great company. And Dempsey Sonora, who does dental supplies. So a lot going on, and I was part of a group that wrote a book that will get into at some point, maybe here during the next 5 minutes to an hour.
And since you mentioned Cornell, I got to do the shout out to Barton Hall.
Grateful Dead.
May 8th, 1977, for all you fans out there.
Yep. I actually, when you go to Cornell, the stores up there still have those shirts. I got my brother one last year in size 3X. He's a big man, and it looks sharp on him, I have to say. He's wore it proudly.
Well, many people don't know this, but in 2023, they came back to Barton Hall, and they played the anniversary concert, May 8th, 2023, and I went. I won a lottery ticket and took my daughter, and we went up to Ithaca, and we had a great time. And it was a great show. It was amazing to be in Barton Hall, the legendary Barton Hall. So, but you're right, all those stores, and there's still a lot of stores that still obviously reflect the, the culture of the Deadheads, which is cool.
Absolutely.
Cornell's an awesome place.
I have to ask, was the show as good without Jerry Garcia? That's the one thing it's just...
that's a third rail, as we call it, right?
Yeah.
So there are those that think that it's not the Grateful Dead without Jerry Garcia. Okay. And I agree with that, by the way. It's not the Grateful Dead. It's Dead and Company.
Yes.
Now, it's still the Grateful Dead music, and it's still played, and it's John Mayer is amazing. Like, I don't care what you think about him.
Yeah, good player.
Everyone gets a second chance, but he's one of the best. He's one of our best guitarists today, I would say. And
it's very good.
He keeps the music alive, and it's amazing to have the opportunity to still go to shows. I went to 6 shows at the Sphere this year, and I went to 3 the previous year, and I did the whole 2023 tour, and so I just keep racking up the points as long as they're still playing, as they say.
I have one good Grateful Dead story, a Grateful Dead related story.
Yeah.
When I was in my early 20s, I was at the Rainbow Bar and Grill, and the group I went with, I should say the one guy was driving, left early. Did not tell me he left early. I had quite a ways to go back home to my house in Studio City, or my apartment, I shouldn't say house.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. And I was back kind of pre-cell phone and, get in a cab, and at the time I had very long hair and it looked a little bit rough.
Did you
Yeah, I had a better one than that. I actually was leaving the Rainbow, and I'm walking around kind of looking very lost, which is probably a good thing if you're a Grateful Dead fan, you know. And he just fell right in. And of all people, Bob Weir walked by, and he goes, "You look like you're lost." And I go, "I was with the guy, and he was driving, and I had no way home." And he goes, "Well, get in the car, where you live?" And he drove me home.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, that's
It's funny.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What a great story that is. Oh,
Nice
that's
guy.
new. You didn't tell that last time you were
No, that's a strange story to tell, and one of those ones that you don't know quite what to say of all people, you know, to give you a ride back.
Did you talk in the car? Do you remember what
We
you talked?
did. Yeah, we were just shooting the breeze about everything, you know. He's just a pretty normal guy.
What an amazing story.
Yeah, pretty cool.
It's like the story, I think it's turned into a book of somebody who was hitchhiking on the vineyard here off the coast of Massachusetts, and Larry David picked them up. So it's like this book about the conversation he had with Larry David on the vineyard.
Too funny.
Man, that's fantastic. All right, so what's it like to transition out of the big corporation into the wild world of consulting? What was your first sort of wow, this is different?
You know, when you work for a large corporation, there's people to help you. And I've often said this, I've been very fortunate over the last, 20-ish years to be in senior leadership and executive roles. When you need something done, people kind of jump. You know, it's kind of a nice feeling. You know, if you're never worried about resources. There's always somebody to grab. And when you go into kind of working on your own, so to say, and doing things on your own businesses and helping other people out, you have none of that. And in fact, they don't want any of that. They bring you on because they feel you're the person they need at that point in time. So there is not a lot of raising your hand and asking for help. That includes you kind of find yourself wearing all hats. You know, you're the sales guy, you're the guy who's doing the work, you're the guy writing the proposal, you're the guy talking in front of the customer, you're the person when nobody knows what they're talking about, including yourself, somehow you try to just hold it together for 10 minutes until you can figure out what you're talking about. So
Right.
I do miss the large organizations, I must admit. I may think about that at some other point, maybe back to another consultant firm or a healthcare organization, but right now I'm doing well and I like it. You know, there's some freedom in it that you don't get to do, and I've been very fortunate. HIMSS has asked me a couple times to speak in Minnesota, so that's been great. I wouldn't be able to do that working for an organization where, and I've been on a few newscasts. Once again, I had those issues in places in the past where, if you know this, I don't know the people out there, if you ever get asked to be on a news show, they don't give you 3 weeks notice. They give you 3 minutes notice and say, "Hey, would you like to be on?"
Right.
When? Now.
That's right.
And so, you have to get approval of that when you work for a large organization. And that, you miss opportunities. But I will say there is some nice stability working for the large organizations compared to yourself.
What are some of the problems that your potential clients could have? So if someone's listening to the podcast and says, "Wow, I'm dealing with this issue," I'm going to reach out to Will. What are some of those?
AI strategy. One of the things I find that your AI strategy and your IT strategy are a little different. They need to be separated. I think you're going to start seeing, and you're already seeing it in other industries, especially in healthcare, you will start seeing within the next couple of years, there will be AI officers at all healthcare organizations. The other thing I find is that if you're going to put things together, before you even call anybody to do consulting, there's 5 things you need to understand what you're going to do. Define what you're doing. I typically find that when people call me, they don't quite know what AI is. They're just hearing about it, or they don't know what consulting is or what anybody could do for them. So be able to define what you want. Second thing is have some metrics around what you're looking for. I have people that call me all the time with unreasonable thoughts of what AI can do. They're thinking 500-fold. I always hear people, if it's not going to be 30-fold, improvement, we really shouldn't be talking. I ask, well, how many things do you have 30-fold? And when I talk to people in healthcare, how many things do you have that are even 2-fold that you've doubled your money? I'm going to guess not many. So, the next thing you always have to do is have some history of why you got to where you are today, and be honest with you as a company, and be honest with the consultant as a company. Hey, we got here because we made some poor decisions, and understand what you want to improve. That's always the key. If you don't know what you're going to improve, why do it? And typically, this is more of a healthcare issue, but if I talk to someone in the automotive industry, they're going to tell me immediately, this is about the customer, it's customer focused. we're just getting to that in healthcare where people are starting to talk about the patient's a large part of their episode of care. They need to be involved. It's all about the patient. And that's really what AI should be able to do for you or any type of improvement program. And then how do you get into a constant state of improvement? Because healthcare organizations many of them running, below dollar or zero or 2% EBITDA. That's a hard thing to do. You need to be about 3% just to be able to make payroll. And I'm not seeing a lot of organizations there. They're better than they were 2 years ago. They're better than they were last year. AI is that game changer right now. And if you look at things, what have we spent? Thinking $394 billion last time I read in 2025 just on AI. It's not going away.
No.
Get on board now. Don't be the last person to adopt.
Yeah, I love that. That was the theme at AI Med this year in San Diego. And, we're starting to move from concept to implementation, which is really cool. So, I'm not asking you to give all away, give away all your secrets, but share one or two learnings, insight that you've seen consulting with people and without giving away any company names or anything like that, but just generally speaking, like what are some of the mistakes people are making generally?
I will just say this, and this has been going on forever, and AI is augmenting this. A lot of AI today, because a lot of focus on that. Use your data and your metrics and have them clean. I keep seeing people they use benchmark of the industry. Use your own data. And that's a 2-for-1 deal for you, too. Typically, when I go back and I start looking at data, people just assume it's good. It's not. So also, it's a good exercise for any organization to do to go back and understand what all their key metrics are. And I always tell metrics really are going to do 3 things for people. And I'm really huge into them. One, they tell you, where you've been. They tell you where you are today. They tell you if you're going to hit things. The other thing I find that is just kind of it's industry agnostic. And that is people in organizations tend to measure what makes them look good and not what makes them better. Measure the things that will improve you, not just the things that make you look good. And I understand the tremendous pressures on C-level people. You yourself have been there. I've been there. There's a lot of quarter to quarter going on. And you want to make sure that when you go to the board, you're telling the good news, or you may not be there next quarter. So I will tell people, be realistic with what you're doing. The other thing that I would say that people really need to do is have a vision. I'm not seeing a ton of leadership right now with that vision. The vision points the way for the people that you have. Everybody aboard needs to understand that when we start an IT project, whether it's an EHR project in the old days, I used to tell people, this is not an IT project. This is a business decision that's being made by the organization. Everybody's involved. I will say with AI, the exact same thing. These are paradigm shifts in how you've done business. You need to figure out the areas that make most sense to move forward. And if you don't, that's when I really will say, bring in a consultant. I can tell people the areas. I can tell you right now, HR is a big deal. Finance is a big deal. Anything you're doing around your contact centers, huge deal. Those are where the real dollars can be quickly done. And I will mention security today, and I would be remiss not to. If you're not talking to people around security and what needs to be done in AI, and especially in healthcare, you're missing the boat. That is one of the most serious things we have. When you consider the average breach right now is about a $4.4 million issue, in all industries, you better have your AI in your program talking with your CISO and your security program, because it's a real deal. And what I just think I read the other day or heard on Becker's was that 33 million patient records compromised this year in healthcare. Yeah. That's ridiculous. It is. And it's not going to get better. And, when your credit card's worth, $5, your social security card's worth $2, and, a healthcare record on the black market anywhere from $250 to $1,000, depending on what's on there, they're going to attack. And I hate to say it, healthcare is probably the weakest of all groups with their security and how they've done things. They're better than they were a couple years ago, but they need to really lock that down.
Sounds like you've got this low-hanging fruit AI playbook available.
I do, of course. Which
I love, right?
I could talk all day on it.
Yeah, let's identify these quick wins for the business and then build from there. And I love this notion of applying a vision, which, again, you need because you're going through this transformation process, and transformation equals change, and people hate change.
It does. It does. And in 2026, we have a lot more trends that are moving forward too. I can already see it. healthcare is moving so fast. I mean, agentic AI will boom. Domain-specific models will boom. I have got AI security on there when I talk to people. Those are all the things that people really need to get done. And in healthcare, when some people, they typically just talk about the provider and things, but there's so much more in healthcare. I mean, we have our health life science we have to worry about. We have our payers, which are becoming more in contact with the organization. Payer and provider becoming more of the one group. So there's a lot moving in healthcare that needs to be addressed.
Talk to us a little bit about AI governance and specifically committees and your experience and any advice you can give to folks that are thinking about putting one together or maybe have one but aren't getting, the full results out of it.
Yeah. And I'm seeing this everywhere. I think we're part of some people that work in some similar groups, but I always tell people when you're putting your committees together, you need to have a wide variety of people. Once again, this is not just an IT thing. I tell people you need to look at how do you define what your governance needs to be. And I'm seeing a lot of this, good governance is no matter what industry you're in, these are all the same things. I mean, you need to make sure that you're looking at the fairness items. When you're looking at the items, does the AI system, it should be, inclusive, it should be accessible, it should not discriminate against individuals, communities, or groups. AI should not amplify existing biases, and that's not, it's how it's trained, it's how it's learned, it's not done on purpose. Things can get out of hand. Have you identified the privacy of things? I always tell people, AI systems really need and should respect and uphold privacy rights, especially in healthcare when you start talking about HIPAA and other items. It should ensure data security, transparency. And that's maybe the toughest part. AI systems should be open and honest. And that's hard to do when you're talking to people. I know you've had to talk to boards. And when you go talk to boards or physicians, talking about black box things can be very difficult. Well, why did it come to this conclusion? There's hallucinations. What is a hallucination? Why is that a big deal? I mean, one of the things we need to think about, too, when we're setting up these governance boards is, how much should the board really be involved? I mean, we don't always have the right people on there making decisions. We have a lot of people making decisions who are not very familiar with AI, aren't very familiar with technology. So who's accountable? The system should be held accountable, I always say, especially when, they make errors that cause harm. Who's accountable? Is it the person who designed it? Is it the people who should have been monitoring it? So there needs to be a human safety part of this. There needs to be an environmental stability part of this. Moral intelligence needs to be part of it. Trust, that's the thing that I keep saying. Nobody's really trusting things enough. And this technology misuse overall. And that doesn't mean that people are doing it on purpose. I mean, we still have a lot of things that we need to lock down. So, if you can get the fairness part, I would say the transparency part, the privacy part, accountability and check, you're on a pretty good, you're ahead of 99% of the people out there doing things.
Nice. I also see a lot of folks wrestling with how do you bring the patient in to the committee, either through patient proxy, advocacy, or otherwise. What are you seeing with that?
Yeah, I'm seeing more of that, and there's no reason why you wouldn't bring patients in. If you look at it, there's probably, if you looked at all the patients that come in, there's a lot of them with good technology background, even understand AI. Why not bring people who have been part of, going through the episode of care, and what do they need? I'm a big fan of surveys and not a big fan of surveys. I continually find, I know that's a big surprise. I continually find that people who fill out surveys are people who are most upset. And so you make changes sometimes to things that don't need to be made. People who normally go through their episode of care, within healthcare especially, they don't say much. It's like any survey. If things went well, you don't really feel the need to sit down for 30 minutes and fill something out. But if you're upset, anger channels a lot of activity. And so companies a lot of times healthcare organizations make a lot of decisions that are probably poor. The other thing I find that when you talk about the patient, the family often is more involved in the patient's care than the patient. They're often the ones that are listening to the nurse, have the instructions, know what needs to be said, understand things. Because, a lot of times as you go through the system, if you're not feeling well, it's a serious episode of care, you probably weren't in your best state of mind or concentrating on things. It's the family sometimes we might want to bring into these things. And I found finding some more progressive organizations bringing in family members of people who went through the system. And they seem to have really solid insights of what they saw. They saw more holistically than the patient who was just, am I going to live through this?
Yeah, no, it's really good advice. You don't have a book underway, do you?
Oh, I might, Yeah, I had to put it up.
Can you hold it up again?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, there it is. Check this book out, The AI Universe. When was it
There we
published?
go.
Recently, right?
It was just recently. You're right. It came out October 31st, which I don't know what that says. I like to tell people more November 1st. I think that sounds better. And October 31st, where you sounds like the Washington Post trying to hide something, and the
No, it's
slipping
the
it out at
treat.
5
It's
o'clock.
not a trick. It's the treat.
It is true. So yes, I was part of a group that did write a
Here's
book.
the trick. Your
There you
book
go.
is the treat.
Oh, it's too funny. So yeah, I've been kind of joking about this, but it did hit number one, which is kind of funny. And there's different categories, and so it did hit number one in the U.S. and France, of all things. And I will stick by it. I will say it would still be number one if it wouldn't be for that wordsmithing wizard from Cabot Cove, J.B. Fletcher, who just came out with a book and knocked me out. But
Where can they find it? Where can they find it?
Amazon. You can find it on Amazon. And
Okay.
I did have to say, I did post something about when it hit number one in France. I thought that just sounded so Spinal Tap. It just sounds like something that I could just hear them saying, we're number one in France. So I don't know. It just doesn't sound right.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So I have a Spinal Tap story since you brought them up. I don't know if you can see this, but
Love it. Yeah.
that's me with Spinal Tap.
Too funny.
2001, we threw an event at Java One, and we hired Spinal Tap, and so and they're back
Love
with
it.
their sequel.
Yes.
Did you see it?
I have not seen it. I've got to go do that.
Yeah,
I
me
really
too.
want to see it. The first one was just so good. Yeah, it was just
so
great.
Good, so good, legendary. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So when we think about AI, what do you think the worst case scenario is in 5 years with AI?
Nobody has a job.
So okay, good.
No,
So you
I'm
have
one of those people.
you have a
Yeah.
doomsday view of it. Okay.
I think you have to. I made a comment that the people are worried about an asteroid hitting the Earth and that's going to be the end of things. Maybe it could be AI. Maybe that's the end of jobs and how we view things.
Asteroid begins with A.
It does. It really could be that.
Has an I in it.
I don't know. It does worry me a little bit. I got another book, plug that right now, coming out in a few months. I'm working on with a group and talking more about the faith-based parts of things. I'm
Nice.
not overly spiritual person, but I try to be somewhat.
Yeah.
But kind of talking
Tell
about
me
how.
about that. Tell me about your faith a little bit, if you don't mind sharing.
Well, yeah, I married a Catholic woman. She made me, got me on the straight and narrow, I guess I will say. So I'm moving that way. But I'm a believer that there has to be something greater than us.
Nice.
And I think there is something out there that we all should respect and kind of go towards. So I do believe in that. I think AI. I think it just kind of depends on where it goes from this point. It could change everything. I think it's going to totally, over the next year or so, it's changing the way, it's paradigm shift in how leaders need to view things, for one thing. It's also a paradigm shift in how we're going to be looking at technology. It's going to change quantum physics and quantum computing. I should just say quantum computing, not really physics so much part of it, that part of it. But the other thing, I think we're going to see a nuclear part get brought in. There's no way the data centers we can have can...
Agree.
And I think people are just going to flip out. They always do when that gets brought up. I mean, we're going to have 3 Mile Islands everywhere. We're going to need them. I hate to say it. But I'm not saying blowing up.
Yeah,
but
no, I actually...
I'm a nuclear fan, though. I'm a nuclear fan. I really am.
I'm a technology fan, and I think that we lost focus on that energy.
Yeah.
And now we're going to bring focus to it. Like anything else with focus comes innovation. And so we may, with focus, eliminate all the issues we've had.
I believe so. I do too.
With the current state of nuclear power.
And it makes sense. It's the one thing we have that makes sense. I mean, you're not going to get enough solar to probably generate this, or you're not going to get enough wind. Nuclear may be the way. It's going to burn a lot of energy. It's already doing it. I also believe that, you look at things in the World Economic Forum, they're seeing an increase in jobs over the next few years. They're thinking, there's going to be 92,000 jobs lost, but 193 million generated worldwide over the next 5 years. So there's a possibility in that. So, I mean, I don't think I think companies need to be doing it now, though. I think those who wait will be knocked out of the competition. It's just that simple. I mean, I use it every day now for everything. I mean,
how do you use it? Because this is also another interesting.
Yeah.
I love this question because I hear different perspectives on how people use it.
I have actually been using it for ideas. I do a lot of writing, obviously, through the university and articles at Forbes and such, and the book did I mention the book?
Yeah,
So,
you did.
yeah, I took up smoking too, I got to get the pipe out. Got to look the part,
That's great.
But no, it's, we really need to focus in and accept this, because organizations who do not do this, it's just such a tremendous disadvantage. I'm using it day to day right now through the university. A lot of I'm writing feedback to people's papers all the time. I'm actually sometimes now running out of ideas. You have 30 students in a class. You write 40 papers that are 50 pages each. And I'm not beyond, writing up my ideas and say, what did I miss here? What am I missing? And I'm teaching. It's teaching me.
It's a good
yes.
thought. Yeah.
Exactly. I comes up with ideas, and I've also used it on some music things. It's been kind of interesting. I mean, you can write some songs. I've done some advertisement with it for the organization. I have my own avatar, which looks just like me.
Oddly
enough, I know my wife seems to like him better, and my brother says that, they don't need me anymore. They actually asked me to bring the avatar over for Thanksgiving. I'm a little worried now, but,
Will Conaway without all the problems.
Yeah, there you go, without all the mess.
All the baggage.
Yeah, but, I actually
need one of those, too.
Oh, I'm telling you, it gets you out of trouble. It really does. If it could take down the trash, I'd be all for it. Yeah. But no, I've used it for the advertisement. I have my AI series that I put out, weekly, monthly, depending on my time, talking about different things that going on in AI. But it's my avatar, and I brought it up, and people don't seem to know that. They still like, oh, wow, you look really good in that video. And I'm like, yeah, that's not me. But
How about LinkedIn newsletter? You have a new LinkedIn newsletter?
I do not. I have not done that. I've thought about that, but I've been lazy, I guess, on that one. Just haven't found the time.
You're doing a lot.
We all do, though. We all do.
Doing a lot. It's weird. Have you ever thought about applying it to bring back people that have passed away in your life?
It's interesting. I saw something on the Wi-Fi about some of that, and it's a little eerie where people bring back pictures. I've seen that. Here's my grandmother, and she's talking with you all of a sudden. It's it's kind of ooh. It's
No, I mean actually bring like you've created a persona yourself.
You could play God. That was part of the faith-based thing. Wasn't going to get into it, but maybe I will now. You're pulling it out of me. One of the things I was thinking about, there is, you are a creator. You could create life. You could create people who have already been here. You could create new life. Very Star Trek. I mean, it kind of reminds me of that episode of Star Trek with Captain Kirk, was it Nomad, who thought he was the creator? There's some things out there that it really makes you wonder. I mean, can we play God with AI? And I think at some point maybe we can, and that's kind of scary.
Yeah. Do you know your Latin? I forget was it God in the Machine, Tuesday in the Machine, or?
I do not.
I do not. Have God in the Machine.
It's possible. It is possible.
For something that, it's a scary time, and it's also a really exciting time.
Exciting, yeah. I mean,
have you read Dark Aeon yet?
I have not. I've had a couple of people ask me. I got to get around to that.
Yeah, that'll inform.
Yeah.
Inform your fears.
Well, I mean, it's like anything. I mean, there's going to be some military aspects of it. I mean, it's like nuclear, what we were just talking about. I mean, you can run the world with it, and clean energy, or you can, turn it into weapon grade. What are we going to do? I mean, it's just how it's used. Nothing's inherently bad by itself. It's how people use it.
Right. All right, let's get personal. What's going on in your life? Any new updates?
Updates. Well, a cat. That'll surprise everybody.
What's your cat's name? Yeah.
Well, this is funny. We've had 2 cat episodes since last time we talked. We had a stray cat show up, and we found out that it was a Bengal cat, which is basically an Asian leopard, and it showed up, and it was an F1, which meant that it hadn't had any breeding. So, of course, it was cute as can be, and my wife fell in love with it, and it was just a terror around the house, bit us and shredded things. And so we found a home for the cat real quickly. It needed to go.
A new continent.
I know, it was a pretty vicious cat. And then, like a week after that, my wife's in tears still about the cat. She, lost her child, so to say. Yeah. She felt, and then we had a tuxedo cat that just opened the door one day and walked in and never left. And it's still here, but very friendly cat. My wife called it Tommy because it looked like Tom from Tom and Jerry. It has that same type of
Nice.
look. Good cat, no problems.
Nice.
I'm not really have a pet indoor type person, but it's working out so far.
Cats are cool. They're almost like people. They sort of do their thing, and
They do. They do. I like that about them.
dogs are very needy.
Yeah.
I'm a dog guy. Cats freak me out for other reasons.
They're a little eerie. They stare at you at night. You wake up and you're like,
Oh, I know. I've had that happen. They're like over you, like.
yeah. It's like, what are you thinking? It can't be good.
Yeah. Am I having a night trauma or dream or what? What's
So,
going on?
what kind of dog do you have? I gotta ask now.
Well, we have 3 dogs right now. We have a mini schnauzer who is
Nice.
yeah. He acts like he's the owner of the house. We have a dachshund poodle who looks very cute, but he's probably the most deceiving little dog of the. He's
Dachshund
smart
poodle.
as hell. Anybody looks like, oh, I'm just a cute little fluff ball, but he's like, yeah, he's scheming. He's always scheming. And then the best dog of the group. I hope my kids don't listen to this. The best dog of the group is Ace, and he is a Akita Husky
Those are neat.
with a beautiful brindle coat. And I literally can feed him like this, and he doesn't. He just nibbles. If I did that with the schnauzer, I'd lose my forearm. Like the schnauzer's like, yeah, terror. So
That's
that's
too
what we got
funny.
going here right now. We'll see. We'll see next year what next year brings. But
There's always next year. Yeah, I guess the only other thing I really have going on right now is that, besides work, I'm still, I tell people this after all these years, I'm still trying to learn to play guitar, which,
Yes.
and every time I think I'm getting good, I see someone who is good. And then I realize that I'm not good. I need to improve. So still doing that. And I built a guitar, Strat style guitar, because, building like a
kidding.
Gibson style where you have to do all the gluing and wood carving. I'd never get to that level, but did put together a Strat style guitar, and it was pretty well.
Foam green. What color?
No, I did it out of MGT Body, if anybody's familiar with that. Company out of California. So everything's USA made, kind of oddly.
Nice.
And a Ricardo neck. And it's a kind of a sunburst, more of like you would expect to see on a Gibson
Paul?
guitar. Yeah, because it's like the dark brown into the yellow,
love
more of
that.
like you would see in the early 50s, or I should say like the early 54 and 55s that had that weird color. Like
Buddy Holly. Did he play a Strat?
he played a Strat. He played a Strat. Yeah, so I did that. It came out, made it up. Didn't take that long. All the parts fit together pretty nicely, I have to say. It's one nice thing about a Strat.
Nice.
So did that, and just fumbling through songs still. I guess I'll be doing that the rest of my life.
What song do you know, and what song do you wish you knew?
What song? I know hundreds of songs just from playing for over the years, and what's
What's the most difficult song you know how to play?
Oh boy, there's a couple Yngwie Malmsteen songs that I figured out, like Dark Star, and a couple of those when I was younger, and still could fumble through it, and a lot of progressive rock that I've always been involved in that, and so
Like Marillion and Yes, and
yeah, a lot of Yes. I can play a lot of Yes, off Fragile and those whole albums.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh,
that's
Steve
so
Howe was
hard.
huge. I actually, when I was a kid, it was funny. All the kids, when I was growing up, everybody's playing the heavy metal guitar, and I have some of those now. But at the time, my neighbor had a 175 Gibson, and that's what Steve Howe played, and it's like a jazz guitar, like you expect to see, Joe Pass play, or somebody, or Jim Hall. It's like this big, huge guitar. I thought, oh, that's neat. And he had it for sale, and that's what I ended up playing. So immediately, the first thing I did is, who plays one of these in rock, And Steve Howe of Yes played one. So I immediately took a shine to Steve Howe, and always have. He's just an amazing player. And
Starship Trooper, what a great
I can play all that, and Roundabout, and all those.
So you're an excellent guitarist.
No, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I did it professionally for years, and I played in the studios out in LA for a while, and I played on a lot of albums, lots of albums. But I will say, nothing famous. Yeah, but I was the guy that.
What's the most famous album you played on?
I got opportunity one time to play on an Anthrax album where I just did like a song, and it wasn't that they couldn't do it. I was just invited in because they wanted to do it faster, and they were short on some cash, and I was on tons of albums that I was that guy that would go in at 3:00 in the morning in Studio City or North Hollywood to play on someone's album because they would just, I hate to say it, they just weren't that good, and I could go in and play it tight and 2 or 3 takes and be out of there, and everybody's saving money. but, nothing really famous. I was another Sabotage, a group that got the flavor from Florida. I remember that their guitar player was sick at the time or something. I got to come in and play on a song, and it was like, it was pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Some people don't, most people don't know that Jimmy Page of Zeppelin,
tons of stuff.
Session player. He started off as a session player. He played on so many great songs. People don't realize that session work is so critical.
Well, I appreciate the comparison to Jimmy Page. But I think it's the first time that's ever happened. It'd probably be the last. Didn't go that far.
I will ask you, what's your favorite Zeppelin album?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think like everybody, it's got to be Led Zeppelin 1. I love that album. It just exploded things. Okay. When you hear Communication Breakdown right from the start, Zeppelin 2. Everybody would probably pick that. And then, then there's the songs that I think were just changed everything. And an album that's not a very popular album, Presence. I love Achilles' Last Stand. That is my favorite Led Zeppelin song. Oh, my God. That's the best song ever. I was going to
ask you. Presence is one of my favorite albums. And here's why. It is so contemporary. That guitar, it's so
metal almost. That double bass.
Rock.
Love that song. Yeah. Nobody's fault. Yeah.
Nobody's fault but mine.
Yeah.
Oh, Will, man.
Those are great.
You moved up, man. You moved up huge.
There may be a third show, huh?
That's why I asked you the question, because I thought, okay, if he says Presence, I'm going to give him one of these virtual hug right here.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. Yeah, everyone says 4. Everyone says, 3.
Yeah.
4.
I've heard those.
Graffiti. Nobody says Presence. Nobody says.
I've heard. I guess I like 4. Obviously it's got the big songs on it, but I've just heard it so much. And
me too.
Yeah, but Presence just one of. I remember the first time I was a kid and I just heard Achilles' Last Stand. I was just like, whoa! I wasn't expecting to hear that. That is like the modern, it's like Iron Maiden hop to it or something.
And everyone talks about Kashmir. And Kashmir's a great song. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But Achilles' Last Stand is it's so out. It's so futuristic, and it's still today so fresh. You listen to it, and yeah. I've heard it live too, and it's fucking incredible.
Yeah, I saw the video. He's got the blue shirt and the white pants on, and boy, Jimmy Ray just sweating to death. He looks like, and it looks pretty cold there. I don't think he was in good shape at that time, but the band sounds just incredible when you watch him. Just so tight, so tight.
Awesome. I was not expecting that. All right, so a couple of lightning round questions.
Oh, jeez.
Go back in time. I didn't ask you this last time, but I'll ask you this. I have some new ones up my sleeve. Go back in time and change one decision you made. What would it be?
Back in time and change one decision. I hate to answer those type of questions because there's probably a lot of them. And there's some, I actually believe I would have, one thing I would have changed, I probably would have stayed in college and got my master's degree right after my undergrad. But I was so excited to get out of Kansas to go to Los Angeles that I literally left the next day. But that, and I also believe, I'll give you 2 today because I believe it's worth 2. It's a Friday. Boy, I'll be reminiscing tonight and be drinking probably here, Stan. I can't believe he asked me that. But I think I'd given the music a little more time. We were doing well. We had things going on. I was making money at it. And then it just stopped making money at it, like everybody, and grunge hit. When grunge hit, we were looked like dinosaurs out there playing. Nobody wanted to hear that music,
No.
But I think we give it some more time, it'd have been fine. I got to tell myself that.
I like that. No. Okay. 2 things on your bucket list.
2 things on my bucket list. That's a good question. I try not to think about that inevitable question. It's interesting. I've never had any desire to climb a mountain. I always hear people say something like that. I may have to fault on this one. 2 things on the bucket list.
1 thing on your bucket list.
I think I'd really like to go outside the U.S. a little more on travel. And a place I have never seen is France. I would love to go to France, and I'd also like to go to England. Those 2 places. One reason England. I will say probably more so. I'd love to go to London and just see Abbey Road, see where the Beatles recorded. I like to see where Led Zeppelin started, where Who,
Nice.
All those bands are all from there. I just like to see what does that look like. I'd love to be able to walk through Abbey Road studio just for a minute, and it's like, this is what happened.
France, dude.
I've never been to France. Yeah.
Where have you been that you'll like? What's your favorite place?
I love going to Canada. I know it sounds odd, even though the last 3 times I was there, I got pulled out of the line. I love going to British. I got to pull out a line. They even knew my name last time. And everybody I was with was staring at me like, are we in trouble? And I go, you guys can go ahead. I think I may be on 3 hours later. I show up at the hotel. Yeah, they went through every bag I had. And yeah, British Columbia, Vancouver, just, it's so different than what you would think. Yeah, I mean, it's like going down Rodeo. Yeah, it's like going down Rodeo Drive. You know, you go down there, it's like, you got the Rolex stores, the IWC stores, the Tiffany stores. Like, wow, wasn't expecting to see that in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like
we had a client take us to
LA. It's like LA used to be.
Yeah. It's funny. Last time I was there, we actually had a client that we had tell us, we need to go to lunch, and took us to a 4-star Michelin restaurant. And needless to say, that was like, explain that one on your expense report.
Exactly. What did you eat? Do you remember?
Yeah, I ate the celery and water. I mean, I was telling everybody, I was actually giving everybody around me the dirty look, like, don't you order anything. The soup will do you fine, you know. I even asked the waitress. I'll be honest. I got up and I walked to the bathroom and I saw the waitress. I go, hey, everybody's sitting on this side of the table. You just point at something that's cheap. Them over there, they can eat what they want. But my people over here, and she did it too. She walked over and she's like, and they go, I think great. She would be like, no, you're having that.
That's great. That's funny. All right. Okay. So, been to Amsterdam?
No, I have not. I have not. That would be pretty cool. Yeah. I know a lot of people that say it just have to be there. Yeah.
Always. I can't believe we're already 45 minutes into it. Always a pleasure.
We can talk for hours.
I can keep. We'll have to do a part 3. How about
we have to. We'll have to do one just on music and stuff. We can just kind of talk about it.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's plan for that. We're here with Will Conaway. This is Ed Gaudet from the Risk Never Sleeps podcast. If you're on the front lines protecting patient safety and delivering patient care, remember to stay vigilant because risk never sleeps.